MJBulls is proud to produce the Raising Cannabis Capital podcast. Today's episode will begin after this brief message from our sponsor.
This ain't no desk job, but it's what you gotta do to scale up to this in a single growing season. It's how in Oregon alone, we grew and harvested the single largest crop of CBG in the world. Grit, tenacity, hell, whatever you want to call it. The crew at Hamptown USA has it by the bucket load. Just getting our seeds in the ground back in spring and growing them till fall was nothing short of heroic. Propagation, planting, maintaining what we have, and building what we need. Trust me, this shit ain't easy. But when it comes to harvest time, our team bumps the bar up to a whole new level. Next comes processing. Everything but the top flower goes off to get turned into crude, distillate, isolate, and water-soluble ready. Our product, like our team, is nothing less than best in class. This plant has always had the power to change the world, but it needs people to make it happen. We're lucky to have those people right here at Hamptown USA.
Green Goddess Supply produces a line of high-quality smoking accessories, including bamboo rolling trays, storage boxes, grinders, pipes, vapes, nails, rigs, and more. Our newest invention is a line of personal home-grow chambers that are 5 years in the making. As we like to say, the only thing addictive about cannabis is growing it.
From Bummin' Media, it's the MJBulls podcast, a show about raising capital in the cannabis industry. I'm Dan Humiston, and on today's show, how Eric Robichaud and Vincent Pettetti's company, the Green Goddess Supply, has created a dominant brand within the fragmented cannabis home supply market, and how their new product, the Armoire, will change the way people grow at home. All right. Hi, Eric. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Great. It's nice to have you as our first guest on the MJBulls podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It's the first time we've met, but I had a chance to take a look at some of your history, and I'm like, what is this guy doing in cannabis? I mean, you were in tech for like 25 years, and you had a couple killer exits over there.
It's a long and interesting story. I won't bore you with all the gory details.
I'm curious about this screen. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah. The short version. I spent, as you mentioned, about 25, 28 years in tech. We were developing consumer software products, so games, screensavers, children's CD-ROMs, read-to-me audiobooks on CD-ROM, and we'll get to this later. But in the current venture, our president and chief cannabis officer (CCO) is Vincent Pettetti. I met him in 1993 when he was in software, and we worked together on and off over the last 25 years. That's how we first met. It was in tech.
Okay.
We were pretty much in a small little niche. We were sort of the king of the screensaver.
Tell us about this transition from tech into the cannabis world. What led you here, and give us a little story behind that.
Sure. So the short version is that, in your career over time, you like for myself, you go with where the market flow is. And I started off in software and products, and I built and grew that. And we were so big in screensavers, and we did games and other things. We were just so big and dominant in screensavers. There was a point where pretty much with a couple minor exceptions, almost every screensaver was coming out of our shop, even if they were private labeled, white labeled, other brands, and it was all product focused. And then just flowing with the market and so forth, I sold that business at its peak. I saw the kind of the wave cresting with screensavers, and sold that business and started a new one. And I moved more into services because I had a lot of people coming to me. I had Folgers, American Express, New York Knicks, all these companies coming to me saying, "Oh, we love your retail screensaver products. Can you do something for us, something custom?" And we were doing more and more and more on the services. So I sold the product company and I got into services. And over the last decade, the last 10 to maybe 12 years, on the services side. And what happened is that, in a nutshell, I got burnt out on the services. And I really wanted to get back to product. I wanted to go back to product. And at the same time, one of our largest clients was one of the largest direct sellers on Amazon. And we really learned the Amazon business. We got really, really good at Amazon, became sort of Amazon experts, if you will. So we started selling products on Amazon. And then it became clear right away. And several years ago, we were able to sell pipes and stuff. Now that's all shut off and you can't sell pipes and you can't anything that might be considered, sort of drug paraphernalia, that sort of thing. They've locked down on all that. And people will go on Amazon now and do it. So, well, I see pipes. Yeah, right now you do. They'll be going by tomorrow, et cetera. It's kind of like whack-a-mole, but they're really not. As a business, it's you're not allowed to sell pipes and things on Amazon. But 3 years ago we were, and we were selling a lot of. And it, as a business opportunity, became very clear early on that wait a minute, we got something here. And what I saw at the time with the accessories market was that there's no McDonald's of head shops. They're all individually owned, and there's a lot of chaos in the industry. Where in services, I ran this whole, because of my tech background, I ran an interactive agency. We did a lot of logo and branding, marketing, creative design, pulled that all together, and then built the web services and the e-commerce stores and all that, and like a full 360-degree services. So with that all said, we realized that the market is not mature. I would start talking to people about things like co-op advertising, co-op marketing. And people in this industry have no idea, even today, have no idea what I'm talking about. Things that are taken for granted in more mature industries. This is not a mature industry. It's like the Wild West. It's all brand new. We have a lot of entrepreneurs coming into the market space. And so the other thing is I was finding a lot of what I just I didn't come up with this term, obviously, but what I refer to as accidental empires. A lot of one-off things, like some guy invents a really cool little widget and he creates, cool little widget company and has that widget. The oil slick guys came up with silicone dab mats, and they make silicone dab mats. This guy came up with a cool little dugout, and he's got a dugout. They're like one-off products. And the traditional business approaches of brand product line extension, things like that, people weren't applying that industry. So on the one hand, it was crazy because it's just the Wild West. But on the other hand, therein lies a lot of opportunity too, if you can take this harness it.
Yeah, for sure.
So we decided to really go all in and leveraged what we do as a business. What do? We do great branding. I mean, we're working with, like I said, Harley Davidson, and we're working with Folgers Coffee and American Express and all these brands. So we started, well, let's leverage everything we have as an interactive agency and let's build a brand around this. Let's apply all these concepts. What we do for our clients all day long, let's do it for us. And we launched Green Goddess Supply and built the business and went multi.
All right, let's talk about the Armoire. This Armoire is beautiful. I'm looking at photos of it on the MJBulls website right now. It looks like a piece of furniture. You guys invented this, and you built a prototype, and now you're raising money to launch it. Tell us about it.
Okay, to grow your own plant at home. Some estimated 90% of all people fail the first time they try to do it, or if they don't outright fail, they just get really disappointing results, like anemic little looking plants. And there's just so many issues, so many variables and problems. Nitrogen levels, phosphates, and your temperature and your humidity and all soil, the nutrients, the pH balance of the water and the soil, and lighting and cycles, and it's complicated. It really is. And so, and then when you want to grow at home, not only all of that, but also it's all about the results. How do you sort of, short of an actual guarantee, but how do you really guarantee, how do you set it up so that you can and this is what we've done. We've set up a system now. It's a whole 360-degree system. You can just drop a seed, water it once a day. If you can water a house plant, you get top shelf cannabis and fast in like 60, 70 days.
That's amazing.
And it solves all the problems, the smell, the sound. I mean, Vincent spent a year just researching fans to find the right fans, because this one's too loud, this one doesn't move enough volume, this one is too this, that Goldilocks, this one's not, too soft, too hard, just right. And it's we've designed our own proprietary light, because you can't just stick any old light in the box. You'll fry the plant because it's an enclosed space. And at the end of the day, it's a real key benefit of this product is that it's also, the entire thing is designed to look like furniture. That's why we call it the Armoire. It looks like furniture.
We have pictures, photos of it on the MJBulls.com website.
Yeah.
So if any of the listeners want to take a look, it does. It looks just like furniture.
And one of the things we say all the time now, we didn't come up with it, but we say it all the time is, the only thing addictive about cannabis is growing it. After I grew my first one in the prototype, I am hooked. And it's like, I'll never just go and buy cannabis. Yeah, I'll always grow my own.
Let's talk about what opportunities Green Goddess Supplies can give to investors.
Right, absolutely. So what we've done now. Let's talk a little bit about on the financial side of what we've done. As I mentioned, I founded the business back in 2015. Put in a pretty decent chunk of change initially to buy product, get everything launched, and just funding and paying people and so forth, getting up and running. And then over the first couple of years, then we went out and raised equity. We raised $500,000 of friends and family round angel investment to do the Armoire deal. Okay, so what I did was I raised this money, and over the past year, we've used that to acquire all the intellectual property rights from Vincent, hire him on board as our president and CCO, Chief Cannabis Officer. and then we've used that money to finish over the last year and polish it with finalizing all the R&D and so forth, and buying lots and lots of product and parts and building test units and prototyping and so forth. And a lot of legal fees, like filing all the patents and trademarks and all that fun stuff and all the intellectual property and so forth and so on. And then starting to flesh out and build out the corporate footprint and foundation for being able to service and support all this. So the first $500,000 we raised got us through that whole sort of development phase, that development cycle, and into production, which I think is huge. This is not, we're looking for basically our second chunk of funding now, which is for all of the to get it out of production for shipping, for sales, marketing, getting the word out there, all the trade shows, press, PR, magazines, advertising, direct mailing, online marketing, all of the whole sales and marketing, and then service support and warranty and service stuff and all of that. So basically the second phase of now shipping and supporting the box.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of companies in this industry, I mean, you have a business. You have the brands already in place. You have a customer base already in place. You have a distribution channel already dialed in. You have experience working even before when you were working with Amazon. So and you have the product all ready to go. So it sounds like you've done all the heavy lifting.
We have. We've done an awful lot of work, and there's an awful lot of early stage risk that's already been mitigated. Obviously, you can look at some of the biggest companies in the world, like an Enron. I mean, there's always some level of risk to anything, public companies or not, private. But in terms of, we're not at zero stage. We keep acting and talking and treating it almost like we are and so forth. But the reality is, yes, there's a lot of water under the bridge, a lot of that early risk. This is not just a couple guys with an idea.
Yeah, and it's not your first rodeo. You've been through this before, so they're banking on they'd be banking on somebody with a proven record, and you have a product that's ready to go.
Right, absolutely. And Vincent as well. I mean, I didn't get into all this, but Vincent built and grew his company, took $1 million angel investment back in the day, and took his company and then rolled it up and took his company public. He ran a NASDAQ public company, built up $100 million a year P&L on his company, and then they sold that off. This is all back like more than a decade ago. Rolled it up, sold it off. I mean, so we've been through this. I haven't done taking it public yet, but I've done private sales. I've built and sold 3 different businesses now over the last 25 years. We just build them up through cash. I built them organically and then sold them and started another one, build it up and sell it and so forth and so on. Now the two of us have come together with, my 25 plus years, his 25 plus years of experience. Said he's run a NASDAQ company. So we have a lot of management experience we're bringing to bear here. And we're not looking for 20 million, 50 million or crazy numbers. We're looking for $750,000, $750,000.
750,000.
Yep. Our original business plan, and anybody who's interested, we have the investor decks, and we have all the pro forma P&Ls and all that that cash flow statements and all that kind of stuff all worked out that we can share. But the short version is that the original business plan was for $1.2 million to do this whole thing, and we raised the first $500,000. to get here. Now we're raising the other 750 for sort of phase 2 now to launch.
That seems really reasonable. And what percentages or what type of equity would somebody be looking at if they put the whole chunk of 750?
Sure. So things are a bit negotiable, but basically we're looking at based on valuations and so forth, we're looking at about a 15% stake for 750.
If somebody's interested, why don't you tell us where they can contact you? I know I have your email address on our website at MJBulls.com. I have your whole company, all the information on our website. But if they need to talk to you or give us that information.
Sure. They definitely can reach out to me directly. Obviously, I'm CEO, name Eric Robichaud. Phone number, they can call me direct, 401-636-2480. And my email address is Eric with a C, ERIC @greengoddesssupply.com. Just reach out to me, and like I said, we have investor decks and investor summary and everything all prepared, so we can shoot that right over and go from there.
Yeah, they better move quick because I don't think this opportunity is going to be around for very long based on what you just said.
And we are, we're moving and grooving. So this is not something that we're just trying to find the money to see if we can, go and launch our dream idea. We're doing this. We're in production now, so we're also very motivated, let's say, to keep things moving and get this done because we are in production now. And what I don't want to have happen is get to the point where we have boxes and now we don't have marketing funds. So we are actively working on this now.
Well, this is good news. This is really exciting stuff, and I really appreciate you being on our show, and I know the listeners are going to be excited about this opportunity. So,
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Best of luck. Thank
you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the MJ Bulls podcast. To see today's guest pitch deck or to apply to be a guest, visit our website at MJBulls.com. And if you like the show, give us a review on iTunes. Today's show is produced by Bumminet Media. I'm Dan Humiston, and you've been listening to the MJ Bulls podcast. Crappy's Feel Better Company is a cannabinoid CPG company with a line of easy-to-use CBG, CBD, and CBN products built for the weekend warriors, the weekday Zoomers, and anyone in between. Crappy's next-gen products incorporate pharmaceutical-derived chemistry to precisely blend minor cannabinoids and terpenes, creating a series of proprietary formulas for hyper-targeted use cases. Harnessing a team of experts with over 75 combined years of chemistry experience, the company relies on its novel solubility technology, state-of-the-art delivery, consistent results, and unique eye-catching branding to stand out from the crowd. Crappy's executive team and chemists have created a vast and diverse product pipeline to maintain relevance in a saturated market. To find out how you can participate in Crappy's Feel Better expansion, which includes major retail placements, university-executed clinical trials, IP and patent submissions, GMP and API scale-up, and international distribution? Go to crappiesfeelbetter.com or on Instagram at crappiesfeelbetter. Today's show was made possible by the generous support of our sponsors, like Alt36, the country's premier blockchain payment processing platform that's providing dispensaries and its customers with a safe and secure payment option other than cash. To learn more, go to alt36.com.